Kill that boy! Kill that boy! Kill that boy! Kill that boy! Kill him! Shut up! Kill that boy! Kill him!
So with the release of Boruto TBV Vortex Chapter 31, things are starting to heat up as we get character updates to Sarada Uchiha and her Mangekyo Sharingan, and how she could potentially be reaching the same fate as Sasuke in the 5 Kage Summit. And Kobu's fate is ultimately decided in the latest edition of TBV. And not only that, but one of Boruto's most broken characters in the show is about to have a great comeback in Chapter 32, and that's possibly. What is up, guys? It is your boy The Food coming back to yet another video. In today's video, it is that time of the month, Boruto TBV Vortex Chapter 31. It is finally here, and with that said, we're gonna go straight into seeing what is up with this chapter. Now, if you haven't read the chapter yet, I would highly recommend go and read the chapter on Manga Plus. Go and support the manga officially. You have to support this shit. It is the best way to literally support and show that you love this show. You wanna see it prosper. You wanna see it succeed. You can read it for free. Just install the app. It's literally for free. So with that said, let's get straight into the chapter review. If you definitely want to see more content like this, definitely hit the subscribe button. But let me not waste your time. Let's get straight into it. Boruto TBV Vortex Chapter 31. So the chapter is titled Chapter 31. You can interpret it in two forms. You can either title it Noisy, or in different terms you can title it Shut Up. But for me, I picked Shut Up because I like that translation. Most of these translations are wonky, so you know, Viz tends to change the translations, but this is what I actually want to stick with. But these are the two different interpretations you can take. So we also have a beautiful cover page of Ada within the Boruto text. And I'm not gonna lie, this looks fire with the orange background. So the chapter starts off from where we left off with Kobu, who is taken over by Inojin using the mind transmission jutsu. So using this technique, Kashin Koji plans to use Inojin to kill Kobu, as he believes he is a dangerous threat to the mission, that is stopping the Shinju clones and stopping the planet's eventual destruction, as he believes that sacrificing one or two people wouldn't hurt when it comes to the bigger picture, which is saving the entire planet. So while Inojin clearly knows the risk of potentially dying from Mamushi, we see an incoming attack from Mamushi. He dodges the malicious intent and comments that it's quite hard for him to move in Kobu's body, which does make sense because he's not a shinobi, so his body is not necessarily made for combat or dodging techniques and abilities. He believes that as a civilian, Kobu does not deserve to die, and that failing to protect Kobu in a scenario like this would not deem him worthy of being a shinobi in the first place. This is actually a great affirmation from Inojin. I'm not gonna lie, this is actually peak character writing here, and it just continues to go to show just how much importance the side characters have when it comes to the continuation of the story. So we then cut to Ada and Damon, as they are practically with limited information. They practically have limited information on the battle at hand, as Ada reveals that she can't use her Senrigan ability because of Mamushi's interference, which appeared earlier in the manga, if you remember. She believes that even if she used her Senrigan even once to peer into what is happening on Inojin's side, it would literally expose her location to Mamushi, giving him the upper hand, and therefore it leads to him attacking her and possibly her dying, as we were told by Kashin Koji. This is also confirmed to be one of his other abilities, alongside his ability to clone himself multiple times. It would definitely be interesting to see a more in-depth explanation on his ability to do this. Is it because of his endearing connection with Ada that allows him to do this, or is there another reason for this? I'd definitely be interested to see that. But shortly after this, we jump over to the battlefield, where we get tidbits of how the other characters are handling the Mamushi clones in the village, where we cut to Delta and Sarada. They have basically teamed up to observe and see how they can take out these clones. And it's very interesting seeing how this creep of a character is out here blatantly talking about some don't get your panties in a bunch. Like, who the hell is you, bro? What do you even do? Genuinely, this guy is up there with Jeffrey Epstein. He is definitely in the files. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyways, one of the bigger weaknesses of Mamushi is shown in direct sunlight, as we see the other Mamushi clone punch the other one in a fury of anger, asking him whether, you know, when are we going to get a hold of Ada? You know, I need this to happen now. And so Mamushi believes here that it's only a matter of time until Ada shows herself, and not even a second into saying that, they literally get into a whole ass fight. I'm not even kidding you. I'm talking the whole house mad type of fight right here, with flames being spread and spewed across the street and civilians running from the chaos. Now, again, we cut back to the interrogation room with Shikamaru and Sai, and this is pretty much where we left off from the last chapter, where Sai realizes that something is going on. Obviously, he figured out that Inojin is the one taking over Kobu's body. These two are at a standstill right now because we know that Sai has been very suspicious of Shikamaru and some shinobi working behind the scenes with Boruto. And Sai definitely hasn't necessarily taken a side right now in the story, but he's definitely been in the neutral side, wondering what the heck has been happening, especially since with Kobu's interrogation, he's starting to believe that something is truly wrong. And it makes sense because earlier we saw Sai in the manga, he was literally behind Kalki, and if I'm not mistaken, he was also behind Amado's back, listening as to how they are taken over by the omnipotent jutsu. So ever since then, he's been very skeptical and very wary of like what this character is doing, what this other character is doing. So it's definitely interesting here because Sai then immediately interjects, asking if Inojin is actually okay, and this is a completely valid reaction considering the fact that Inojin literally almost lost his life in the first arc. He literally got his torso chopped off by Jira like it was nothing. And as a father, this is not surprising. What is definitely not surprising though is Shikamaru's response to this. He says that while he understands his worry for his son, he also explains that the duty of a shinobi comes before their kids for the safety of the village. And this is where we see Sai agreeing to help him out. Now, this is very interesting because I think, like I said, Sai definitely hasn't been the one to take a side. He's always been on the neutral side, just seeing behind the scenes what is actually going on. Why are things acting so strange? I think at this point, he pretty much has figured out what's going on, especially with what's about to happen as we continue on into this chapter. But pretty much, I think for now, it's very interesting because now that Sai agrees to help Shikamaru out, I don't necessarily think he's doing this because he wants to help Shikamaru, but again, because of Shikamaru's reasoning, the same reasoning that he used on Shikadai, we can finally see this scenario where Sai will probably, just like the rest of the other characters, begin to realize that something wrong is actually going on here in the story right now. But obviously it's sad because the omnipotence is going to keep reverting them back to thinking that Boruto is Kaoki and he's the one that killed Naruto. But back to Sarada and Delta again, as with the chaos that is going on in the village right now, Sarada then decides to swoop in to save what is the civilian on the street as she reveals her Mangekyo Sharingan Ohirumi. Now this is the third time that we get to see her use her technique, her new dojutsu. Remember, the first time was obviously when she fought Ryu, and the second time was when Damon confronted them. She didn't necessarily use Ohirumi, but she did use her Mangekyo Sharingan. But now this is the third time we see her using her powerful gravitational force from the black holes that bring the Mamushi clones into the air. And Ikimoto here is basically confirming that this is basically one of her potential weaknesses that she might have to work on when it comes to this technique. Is that the fact that there's a restricted vision of her ability. It doesn't just work on just like everyone when she unleashes the technique. Basically, what we see here from this discussion between Sarada and Ada is that she basically has to directly face her opponents to put them into the effects of Ohirume. If she doesn't glance at them or look at them, then they won't be taken in by the gravitational force of Ohirume. So if she doesn't look at specific, it's definitely a weakness because someone can sneak up on her from behind. And obviously, I'm not saying anyone can do this, but we literally see Mamushi try to do this. But obviously, Sarada is fast enough to react to this and glance at him, which then renders his attack useless. So that's just something I thought I would, comment on that. But as we see this happening, Delta also offers to help her round up the rest of the clones as she goes in for the attack, taking down a number of clones with her abilities, from the eyes and her freaking legs, her scientific ninja tools. We see her using her abilities that she used in the same fight against Naruto in Naruto Next Generation. This is actually a long time since we've seen this. This is something we have not seen from her in a long time. And so this is very, very fun to see. Sarada then works to absolutely destroy all of the clones as she then descends to the ground with pain in her right eye. And for the first time, blood vision, which is something that we haven't seen since Sasuke and the Five Kage Summit. Now you're probably wondering, what am I talking about? Go back to the end of the Five Kage Summit where Sasuke fights Danzo. At the very end of the fight, not even, yeah, basically at the end of the fight, we see Kakashi pull up. This is after Sasuke spammed the Manga Sharingan so many times to the point where now he's literally going blind. Right? He can't even keep up with Kakashi. He's trying what he can to do so. And this is basically because this is literally one of the biggest weaknesses of the Manga Sharingan is the fact that over time, with more usage of this Sharingan, you will become blind. And it's very interesting because, like I said, Sarada has only used this technique 3 times. And I think it can either indicate many things, but I think one of the first indications that I get from this is the fact that the Sharingan that she's using, because of how broken this ability is, it has a very big toll on, how many times she can use it. I think because of the technique itself, it's letting her go blind even faster. I mean, this is a technique that we have never seen in the entire Naruto franchise, and so I think it does make sense that, her using this, it is kind of crazy that she's only used this 3 times and she's already going blind. Maybe she's practiced it behind the scenes, but I don't want to make any headcanons. I'm just counting this canonically in terms of how many times we've seen her use it. And so I just thought this was very interesting. A lot of theories as to how she could potentially maybe get a eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, or how she's going to deal with the weaknesses of the Mangekyo Sharingan. But that's just something I thought I would, comment on as well. But moving back to Kobu, Inojin is trying his best to avoid all the attacks and keep him safe. This is when we see Kashin Koji wake him up to dispel the mind transmission jutsu, and he quickly tells him to go back to using the mind transmission formation technique to relay the situation to Shikamaru. But as this happens, Inojin is like, yo, you gotta save Kobu. You guys gotta get Kobu. And so opening up to the top, we see Kobu in flames, as in the sky, we see the young Lord Boruto in the sky with his sword, ready to be released, and he swings right into action. He slices the Mamushi clones right in the eyes and using his karma absorption to save Kobu's life. Top tier moment, besides the Ohirume moment. This is top tier. Kobu is shocked. He questions what on earth happened. Shikamaru explains, this is the reality of the situation that you are in. The Shinju clones are out to get everyone and anyone who stands in their way, including you, and the shinobi are doing everything they can to stop it, even if that means teaming up with people that these people think are enemies. Kashin, Koji, Boruto, right? So it's crazy because in my last video I talked about this. We're talking about whether Kobu was potentially going to live or die. I thought he's most likely going to live, and I'm not surprised to see this, but I also did say I do think Kobu is not switching up, and he vows to figure the truth behind this secret. What exactly is happening behind the scenes? He's going to bring all of this to light for the sake of the land of fire. And this is the funniest moment in the chapter. Boruto asks Kashin Koji, was this fate? Was he fated to save Kobu? Koji answers, that man has to die.
Boy! Kill that boy! Kill him! Shut up!
It's pretty difficult to put into words how disgusted I am, how depressed I am.
You weird, buddy.
Like, goddamn, bro. Like, what kind of hate do you have for this man? Come on, bro. You know what? Like I said, I don't necessarily hate Kobu. I understand the theme of the show here is trying to explain that sometimes you gotta take out who you gotta take out for the sake of the story. I do think this logically makes sense, but at the same time, it's like, damn, bro, this guy. It's very interesting because, like I said, Boruto's been the type of character who saves anyone and everyone, regardless of how much they hate him, because he knows that they're taken over by omnipotence. So he's trying not to stir up trouble, and it's definitely a continuation to just how we could potentially break the omnipotence if it is even possible. But either way, at the final end of the chapter, now Shikamaru is out here thinking, what is next against these clones? Inojin reveals there are over 200 clones now that are circulating in the village. It's basically impossible to take out all of these clones. And so Shikamaru comes with the conclusion, let's use Ada as bait. He says, listen up everyone, we are going to use Ada as bait to bring in all of these 200 clones and we are going to absolutely come together to annihilate and destroy all of these opponents right here, right now. It's actually insane because I could see a potential fight coming in for chapter 32, like I said at the beginning of the video, and that is of course Damon. We have never really seen Damon fight. Damon has only had his introductory fight where he just took down a bunch of randoms, and then obviously he fought Code towards the end of the Code arc where he absolutely dog walked a full power Code, mind you, stated to be stronger than Naruto and Sasuke in their prime. Absolutely insane feats from Damon. Now, we don't know where Damon scales right now. I think a lot of people might say, oh, he definitely stronger than Jigen, or he definitely taken in because he definitely beat full power Code, right? But it'll be very interesting to see this next potential fight, as we could possibly be seeing Damon pulling up to fight against the Mamushi clones to protect Ada. I think this is probably a very exciting moment for me. I can't wait to see Damon fight because I have never seen him fight in 2B Vortex. All he's been doing is just aura farming and doing nothing. And honestly, this is his one and only chance to prove that he is not a bum. If he actually loses this, he will officially be a bum, a fraud, and I will laugh at this guy for eternity. But at the same time, I am very hyped to see what we could potentially be seeing here. Now, this is also a great moment. We could see team ups here. Kawaki, Boruto, the rest of the shinobi pulling up to take down all these clones in one big attack. This could be absolutely insane. But yeah, this is pretty much Boruto TBV Vortex chapter 31. The chapter then ends there with Damon commenting that this could actually be fun. So, like I said, I'm very hyped for this. So, overall, this was a very, very great chapter. I'll give this a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 if you will, but I'll give it a 9 out of 10 because we can definitely get better than this. But a very amazing chapter, I will say nonetheless. Anyways, that is the chapter itself. I'm definitely going to be covering a lot more topics because I don't want to make this video too long. I want to talk about what the heck is moving forward for Sarada Uchiha and a weakness with the Manga Sharingan. Definitely want to talk about Damon's potential fight and a lot more other things to come. So definitely subscribe if you definitely enjoyed this review. Let me know what you think of Boruto TBV Vortex chapter 32. Chapter 31, my bad, chapter 31. Was it a great chapter? Did you enjoy it? Let me know in the comments. Definitely subscribe to the channel. But with that said, it has been a video from me, The Fruit, and I will see you in another one. Peace.